Dr. Umar Johnson, I just love him. He was born in 1974. He's an American Black activist, a social media personality, a school psychologist, a motivational speaker. A lot of people think he's controversial because he's a Pan-Africanist who condemns same-gender and interracial marriage. He attended Millersville University of Pennsylvania and the Philadelphia College of Medicine. He's also an author and he also has his own school. His stepmother was a preschool teacher. I personally like him. A lot of people do not, but I think he was right on point when he was talking about white America obsession with OJ. He was found not guilty, first of all, by a jury of his peers. There have been so many people of the other persuasion who've been found not guilty when they were really guilty, and there's never been an uproar. There's no uproar when black men are killed, murdered, dragged. There's no concern. When Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, no concern with legislators. But we really saw a divide in America during the O.J. Simpson trial. And I think it is for various reasons. First, because it occurred in Los Angeles, the Los Angeles area, right after the Rodney King incident. Rodney King was brutally beaten by police for no reason. And some people believe that OJ had to get off because they were afraid of another riot and they were afraid of another racial upheaval and uprise. But the facts don't match. We know that Mark Furman, the police officer, planted evidence. He tampered with evidence. We also know that they're just things that don't match up. Now, some people think that he may have known who did it. Some people think that it may be another relative of OJ's. But will we really ever know? And the way that he has been dishonored in his death, the NFL won't recognize him. And you have Caitlin Bruce Jenner saying good riddance. But I think about all the other evil racist people like Strom Thurmond, Jesse Helms. They still acknowledge their accomplishments. Even Bruce Caitlin Jenner killed someone. He murdered someone, even if it was an accident. But yet they still recognize his accomplishments. Some of the most controversial people who've had not so perfect past, they're still recognized. But it's like a black man has to be stripped of everything, just like they took some of the awards from Bill Cosby, and he was found not guilty. And I really believe people were lying on him. Those women knew he was married. Did he have an affair? Perhaps. Did OJ have affairs? Perhaps. But are they the monsters that people want to make them to be? I'm not so sure about that. But let's listen to a little bit of what Dr. Umar Johnson has to say because they cannot stand, and that's why they had that civil suit. They could not stand the fact that they said he was not guilty, so they had to get him on something, but yet they still haven't collected the money. And then you had the Goldman family who leading as well.
Double standards. Can't let the OJ verdict go because, under the rule of white supremacy and through the practice of white privilege, especially as it pertains to the criminal injustice system, white people almost always get whatever they want when it comes to black folk. When we go back to Reconstruction, when we go back to slavery, when we go back to Jim Crow, and even when we look at the criminal injustices against black people today, we see that white folks always get a guilty verdict whenever they want one. So this whole outcry by white America against the O.J. Simpson verdict, what is this infatuation? This infatuation grows out of a privilege that says when a white man is guilty and the alleged, when a black man is accused of being guilty, when a black man is accused of being guilty and the alleged victim is white, 99.9% of the time, the black man is convicted. And white people are angry because they always get what they want from the criminal justice system. And this time, they did not get what they want from the criminal justice system. This is why they're upset. It's not about justice. None of us knows whether OJ was absolutely guilty or not because we were not there. You need to understand the difference between evidence and proof. Evidence is not proof. OJ's blood was in the Bronco. That's evidence. The glove may have been able to fit, but they say he acted in court as if the glove could not fit. That's evidence, but that's not proof. Proof means somebody saw it. Proof means it was caught on film. Proof cannot be hard but trace. Last time I checked, for me and my brothers and sisters who identify as unapologetically African, last time I checked, the only reason why I'm in this country subject to your criminal injustice is because you took me based on my race from my native home and brought me here to toil in your soil 243 years for free. So please don't bring up the race card, because if you want to discuss the race card, dear white America, I don't think there's another card that you can play. Okay? Last time I checked, it was your forensics team that mishandled the evidence at the crime scene. Black folks didn't do that. He was Asian. We had nothing to do with collecting the forensic evidence on the scene. Huh? And what about the cop who picked up Nicole Brown's cell phone, tampering with a crime scene? We didn't do that. Y'all made the silly ass mistakes. See, your white privilege bit you in the ass because you thought you were so free to do whatever you want because you just knew you were going to get a conviction, because whenever y'all accuse a black man of doing anything to a white woman, whenever y'all accuse a black man of doing anything to a white woman, whenever y'all accuse a black man of doing anything to a white woman, Bill Cosby, anything to a white woman, Tavis Smiley, a black man accused of doing anything to a white woman, Ezekiel Elliott, we are presumed guilty until proven innocent. And in this one case, your racist asses did not get what you've been getting for 400 years, and now you want to cry foul. I'll be damned. Black people got to deal with what you deal with 365 days a year.
Did Emmett Till get justice? They found his warrant and they knew the woman lied. And the people admitted that she lied. But they never arrested her. They let her die in peace. How is that fair? All the black men that have been killed and terrorized by the opposite people, do they get justice? Some of these people walk free or they get reduced sentences. I agree with Dr. Umar Johnson. White America is obsessed because the justice system, for once, whether it was the unprofessionalism of the prosecutor or he really didn't do it, the evidence was tampered with, the racism, and the unprofessionalism of the police department, the LAPD, if it's one of those reasons, all of those reasons. For once in history, the justice system worked for O.J. Simpson, and they can't deal with that. They wanted the verdict the way they wanted the verdict, and you can't even be accused. You can't even think of a white woman being harmed. It doesn't matter if she was promiscuous. It doesn't matter if she was a drug addict. It doesn't matter if she committed adultery on her husband. It doesn't matter if she had multiple men. It doesn't matter. Ron Goldman's mother or stepmother, former husband was a drug pen. Nobody brings that up. Ron and Nicole allegedly were had drug debts. Nobody brings that up. O.J. Simpson didn't know how to use knives like that to be able to decapitate or almost decapitate someone's head. I'm sorry for the families. My condolences to all families involved. I'm very sorry for your loss. No one should have to die in such a heinous way. But you hate OJ so much. What if he really didn't do it? Or because you know he did it because he's a black man. And black man always guilty. Black man, the monster. Black man, morally depraved. These are the lies that are put out in our society and taught in schools and in history. And it's not true. And it's not fair. It's not ethical. And it's not just.
OJ in jail, you know for sure. You know for sure that city would have burned again. So it was your own racism in the Rodney King trial that liberated OJ. So let's give white folks a hand for letting OJ out of jail. Let's give white America a hand for letting OJ go home. It was your racist dumb asses that opened up the avenue that allowed for OJ to walk. That's right. It was almost ironically a form of justice. It was almost a form of, it was street justice. Street justice made OJ free. So let's look at the details, brothers and sisters. June 13th, 1994 was the date of infamy. June 13th, 1994, Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman, rest in peace, were found dead. June 13th, 1994. On June 17th, after a highway police chase, O.J. Simpson turns himself in. June 17th, 1994. On June the 20th, O.J. Simpson pleads not guilty. On September 9th, the prosecutors decide that they will not seek the death penalty. The reason they didn't seek the death penalty is because they know they wouldn't have got it. Okay? Christopher Darden, I got some questions for you, my brother. You cried after OJ was acquitted. You cried in court after OJ got it. White folks was hugging and holding your black ass. You the blackest thing in the courtroom. White folks is coddling you and hugging you and holding you because OJ got acquitted for a crime you can't absolutely prove he committed. But did you cry like that for Rodney King? Did you cry like that for Michael Brown, Christopher Darden? Did you
No,
volunteer legal services to go and help Walter Scott or Freddie Gray or Sandra Bland? Since you want to cry for injustice, Christopher Coon Darden. Since you want to cry for injustice, Christopher Coon Darden, I'm asking you a question, my brother. Since you cried when OJ got acquitted, did you cry when the killer police were acquitted, not even charged in some cases? Did you cry for them? Did you cry when Tamir Rice was riddled with bullets in Cleveland, Ohio? 12 jurors, 8 women and 4 men were chosen. 12 jurors, 8 women and 4 men were chosen. January the 30th, Johnny Cochran makes the opening statements. February the 9th of 1995. February the 9th of 1995, Officer Risque testifies that he picked up Nicole's cell phone without gloves on. February the 9th, white cop testifies he picked up Nicole Brown Simpson's cell phone without gloves and without dusting it off. March 13th, 1995, Los Angeles Police Detective Mark Furman is cross-examined. March the 13th, 1995, Mark Furman is cross-examined and he denies making racist comments. April the 14th, 1995, Dennis Fung, an Asian forensics specialist, admits that he made mistakes during the crime scene. April the 14th, Dennis Fung, an Asian forensics specialist, admits that he made mistakes during the crime scene. June 15th, 1995, O.J. Simpson tries on the infamous glove and says it doesn't fit on June 15th, 1995. On July the 6th, 1995, Marsha Clark rests the prosecution. 58 witnesses the prosecution would present. July the 6th, 1995, Marsha Clark rested her case, rested the prosecution after 58 witnesses. August the 29th, Mark Furman tapes are played in court. On August the 29th, the famous Mark Furman tapes, where he calling black people the N-word and saying how he liked to beat up black folks and how he called his blackjack the nigger stick, those tapes are played in court on August the 29th of 1995. On September the 6th, Mark Furman pleads the Fifth Amendment 3 times. This is what lost the case. This is what lost the case. September 6th, Mark Furman, the most racist police officer in LAPD history, he pleads the Fifth when asked 3 times about his comments. He pled the Fifth Amendment 3 times. September 22nd, 1995. September 22nd, 1995, the case is over. On September 22nd, 1995, on September 28th, 1995, Johnny Cochran issues the closing statement. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit. Y'all remember that? The famous Johnny Cochran. If you live in one of the states I'm about to name, most of the people on death row in these states are black. Let me say it again. Most of the people sitting on death row right now waiting to be executed are black people. These states include South Carolina, California, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, and Ohio. I repeat, black people, if you live in South Carolina, California, Louisiana, Mississippi, North Carolina, and Ohio, most of the people on death row in your state look like you. Although you are a numerical minority in your state, you are the majority in death row. Although you are a numerical minority in your state, you are the majority on death row. We are living in a state of crisis. This is genocide, worse than slavery. Talking about you pledge allegiance to the flag. Yeah, okay.
And this is why the book entitled The New Jim Crow: Mass Incarceration in the Age of Colorblindness by Michelle Alexander, she was so on point. It explores race as a predictor of incarceration and harsher sentencing in the United States. This mass incarceration is a part of a new movement towards racial justice in an allegedly colorblind United States. Black men are targeted all the way in elementary school. They have more suspension rates. They're written up more times. There are more Black students labeled in special ed classes. More Black students are expelled. And it's a new caste system. And it's difficult for regular people to observe as it exists within the confines of the justice system. Racial profiling, the arrest of more Black men for small or minimal crimes. These criminals are they're labeled as criminals and felons, and society can then justify inhumane treatment while avoiding overtly racist language or acts. So he's right on it. He is right on it. To truly be an equitable society, the United States must acknowledge the existence of this new racial caste and then act to dismantle it. But when will that ever happen? And when will we ever get to a point that all men are created equal? Because it's not. All men are not created equal. Discrimination in housing, discrimination in the justice system, the court system, the school system, the religious structures, and we can go on. The discrimination and racism in the financial